back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne. Disembodied Hands, Quinny, Disembodied Beard, John. Kiki, sometimes, mostly toward the end these days. Anyway, hi everybody, how are you doing? People are ordering 12 days of Reaper. I am waiting for my Reaper order to come from before. Yay! And you made it, Kendakari. Yeah, we don't see you very often. That's pretty cool that you're here. Yeah, I almost made an order of another thing, but I need to wait till I get paid. That's the thing, is I'm like, no, I cannot just order things right now. I need to wait until my actual money goes into my actual little accounts, and then I'll have a buffer. Yes. How is everybody going on their Christmas shopping? There's a loaded question, right? Part of what I was going to order last night was a Christmas present, but the other part of what I was going to order last night was not a Christmas present, so... nice. Organized desk always feels good, Sir Gambit. Yeah. We've got Mouslings right here in River City. With capital M. That doesn't rhyme with anything. Sorry. Music Man reference. Urgh. I have all my stuff still out from the primer video I shot yesterday, so I have to put that to the side so it does not get in my way. I felt like the primer video, I never know, it's kind of like any creative act where, like, it's actually a lot like writing, where I shoot a video, and I'm like, I don't know about that video, and then I go and watch it the next day, and it's just fine. Like, it needs editing, but it's just fine. The more editing a video needs, though, the more I'm likely to feel about it when I go back. But these fundamentals videos are that kind of video because I have an outline, I'm sticking to it, a lot of times I have to stop and repeat something if I feel it wasn't clear enough, and then I have to go and edit that, and yeah. That's okay. Slim Christmas is okay, it's still Christmas. Slim Christmas is an opportunity to just be happy that you have what you have, right, Asia Marvel? It's not a bad thing. I have had some Christmases before. Maybe you could spend the day, like, painting minis or something. Do something fun and creative. Hello, Crowley. No coffee. Ever since my gut attacked me last week, I've been working at it, at figuring out, what set it off. And unfortunately, it seems like caffeine is part of the problem. So I'm backing off on my caffeine, which I do, like, anybody who's watched me any length of time knows that I have these periods, especially when I was younger, I would get so dependent on caffeine, I would get just sick of it. And I would go, like, off caffeine, 100% off. No caffeine at all for a while. And then it would slowly creep its little way back into my life. So I know I'd been hitting it hard before, like, leading up to that point. So I was like, So I think caffeine was like, and if I do have like an IBS kind of thing, or, they don't know what it is at this point. But then that can be a trigger, so sadly, no coffee for me forever. It really does not hit my gut well. But my tea self, I still love my tea. So I'm there in spirit, Crowley. Just less caffeinated spirit. Hobgoblin J, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about shifting out my, you're fighting a 3D print. Oh, noes. I'm really, now that we know what's in Bones USA, I was seriously thinking about going back and changing my Reaper Kickstarter order. I may do it. Yeah, coffee can, exactly. And even black, like a lot of black tea apparently can. I essentially I've been switching my diet around very, very cautiously because I've been very stable for the last 3 days. Like, sleep scores in the 90s, guys. That's really good. It feels good. I have energy. I love having energy. Like, that's my favorite thing in the world, is having energy. If I had to pick, like, one aspect of life, it's those days where I wake up with, yeah! That. Even if it's otherwise a day where there's, like, not a lot, like, going on, like, that's good, or, my normal to-do list or whatever, doesn't matter. As long as I have energy, I'm happy. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's a really good gift, Agent Marvel. Like, I love that gift. Like, that gift is like, oh my gosh, gift. Yeah, for sure. Like, your hubby is, like, evolved. Tell him we are all impressed. Good sleep is the best. Yeah, I can't do the double strong anymore. I shifted back yesterday to having like usually I have a 16-ounce tea and I put 2 black tea bags in it, and that was too much. I'm starting to figure out. I'm starting to like suss out my symptoms and keeping a journal. I've been keeping a food journal as I try to figure out what set me off and what is setting me off and what isn't. So, all right, yeah. So food journal, totally boring, but it works, guys. It does. All right, we're gonna do the cold bronze today. So let's start building that. And I think I'm gonna do I have my NMM Gold Shadow over here? I think I do. Yeah, let's just use that. Usually I mix it with rich leather and a drop of brown liner. You can get something that's very much like this, and this is very much like what we used on the little handle there. You know, as you tell him regularly that he is a very evolved human being and that's why you married him. That's what I do to David. David will do something and I'll stop and I'll look at him and I'll be, that's why I married you. I figure he can't hear it enough when he does something really good. I can't just give him treats, right? Like Kiki. Yeah, I watched a lot of musicals. My dad was very into musicals. We went to Chicago to watch a lot of Andrew Lloyd Webber. I haven't gone live in a long time. I think when I cook for him, me cooking supper for him probably counts as treats, crows. And I am, we're having leftover lamb sog tonight, so I have to make some more spinach for it, so it feels a little fresher. When you put the spinach in, when you do the spinach saute and then you puree it up, it really freshens up the dish a lot, so I'll be reworking that. But it's still leftovers, so that's the only thing I have to do tonight for supper, which is really nice. I love leftovers nights. Yeah, good sleep. I know, right? Because when you get crap sleep, you're just like, because that was me before. That was me for like the week and a half before the last 3 nights. Was worse sleep than I'd had in a long time, and it was just ugh. When your brain feels like a fried egg in a pan, that is bad sleep. Nobody likes bad sleep. It has no friends. Okie dokie. Oh, did I drop water on that? I should move it over. Doo-doo-doo. Dang it, I came up with a cool... I was just like reminding myself, you came up with a cool color workshop idea. You should like write it down. And then of course I didn't, and now I forgot it. We'll just hope it recurs. Most good ideas will. If it's a really good idea, I'll figure it out and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that was that idea. I need to do that. I'm just mixing in the palette. Hold on. We were getting our NMM Gold Shadow done. I should have put brown liner in that well. I like to work from dark to light on my palette. It's just one of my little idiosyncrasies. Do you all have those little idiosyncrasies? Ooh, there you go. That would be a good... See, these are all good Christmas ideas. And they mean more than just stuff, right? I'm hesitating on my Switch purchase, but I think I'm going to do it anyway. I know that he's probably getting me the digital notebook that I've been staring at for 3 years, but not buying because it's expensive. And so this would be an equivalent gift. But I also got him some other stuff. Like I'm getting in some of his favorite rooibos tea that we only can get from one shop in Santa Fe. That I'm putting in an order for my holiday tea. And maybe I'll get his mom something too and see if she likes it. Because we're doing Christmas ideas for them as well. But so I'm getting him a couple of little things in addition. And I don't know if he's getting me anything other than the notebook. Hey, lady. If you're giving people loans, Twistoma, yeah, I think that counts as Christmas no matter what of the year it is, and they shouldn't be asking for more. That's me, though. Write down the ideas, then find the note and go, why did I think this was good? Past Kuro was a Muppet. Do you get spaghetti arms, too? If you were really a Muppet? Do the Kermit. Alright, I'm going to do 3 drops, but then I'm going to cold this down a lot. A lot cold this down. So cold. I probably, in fact, already put too much yellow in it, but maybe not. Maybe I can dull it right down with a big glob of NMM Gold Shadow. Oh, yeah, exactly, lady. Yep. You feel like a pro Hurricane are good. Oh, that's terrible, Carly. Like, sleep is so important. I love my sleep. I'm so happy that I've gotten... I mean, you could tell. You could tell that I'm like... this is hand on sleep. My energy level's like... Plus, I think I was pretty happy last night because... for some reason, I have never worked with some of these wide publication platforms, and Streetlib was giving me conniptions because it was like, I couldn't find a publish button. And I was like, maybe there's something here that I need to investigate. But I didn't have time to watch their little video. So then last night, I got an email from them saying, we have approved your account. I'm like, oh, that's why there was no publish button. You wanted to make sure I wasn't a bot or a weirdo. It would be nice if their website actually said, hey, there will be a waiting period of 48 hours before we approve your site or your account, right? That kind of thing. But there was no such flag, so I did not know. But now I know. And knowing is... Yeah. Ah. Ah, the toddler. Yeah. Yeah, we can blame the toddler for a lot, I'm sure. Just continue to blame the toddler as the toddler becomes a not toddler. Regularly remind them of all they cost you. Alright, so we're going to work with this very, very dull mustard color as a highlight on this bronze. I'm actually going to add a little bit of orangey color into it, I think. Bronze benefits from looking a little orange, a little less yellow. So I think, maybe Harvest Brown. Where are you, Harvest Brown? Not you. You are not Harvest Brown. You are Harvest Brown. Zucchini fritters, yummy. Oh yeah, they're really good. I love zucchini cakes and zucchini fritters. So tasty. Although I think, actually, I enjoyed making latkes so much for David's parents last year for Christmas. Or it was the day after or the day before, I don't remember. It was with the prime rib. But I enjoyed doing them. Those are potato fritters that you have with applesauce and sour cream. They're Jewish food. And his family is, or his dad is anyway. Just a tiny bit of orange in there. Let's see if we can shift it. But I really enjoyed making them, and they were really tasty with the homemade applesauce, so I'm kind of deciding that's going to be a tradition. I can officially just designate something as a tradition, right? That's decent, but I think we need a little bit more. I'm going to just go with a little oxide red, I think. Hey, Daffodil, thank you for the resub. 50 months. Crazy talk. No, it is not selfish, Twisted Oma. If your kids are 50, they should have their own retirement accounts at this point, right? Oh, Lordy. You are not... Sometimes selfish is a good thing, okay? Shaking my finger at you. If you can't afford it because you've been generous the rest of the year, just remind them that you've been generous the rest of the year and you really need to like lay off for a bit. There we go. All right, so I added some red oxide. And that is going to give me something I think is going to feel more like bronze. Now, the danger here is that we can go a bit warm. And we don't want to go too warm because we're still dealing with an undead. So once I shift this, it should be okay because, remember, if we were putting this over white, we would actually get this color, but we're not. We're putting it over a really dark base coat. That should keep it looking pretty cold, especially if I add more of that. Yep. Yeah, Blue Nine. We're very proud of our customer service. I guess I'll say us because I'm still like an official employee. I'm just not a full-time employee and I'm remote. But Reaper's always been very proud of its customer service, and we try to give good customer service. So we're very happy to hear that you had a good experience. There. So that has muted it out a little bit, and if you look at any bronze statues and such that are not tarnished down to dark brown or black, you'll see that touch of oranginess to it. All right, we'll go with this. We'll see. It's still a yellow metal, but it definitely does not look like the copper shows a little bit more through, is what I think. 3 years in a row is a tradition. Okay. Oh, nice, Blue Nine. Yes, giving sculptor names. Yep. Yeah, that's another thing that Reaper's always been really good about. Yep. Agree 100%. That's why I've worked for this company for over 20 years, Blue Nine. Like, I started in 2003 in April. It's been 20 and a half years that I've worked for Reaper. More, 20 and 2/3 years. And there's a reason for that. They're just basically good folks. And our fan base is amazing. Round of applause for all you guys watching. All right, so we're going to start with this. So this is more of a bronzy color. That would go. So that is NMM Gold Shadow. Then I tried to mix my regular gold, but it didn't look quite right. And I wanted it a little more orange, so I added a tiny bit of oxide red. And then same thing here, and I added more white. So, alrighty, so now we're going to do these little buckles. Oh, I need a pure white. If we're going to do NMM, we got to do pure white. Now, in contrast, a lot of the stuff on our little mousy girl here is going to be warmer. Yeah, mouses are good. The meese are good. All right, I'm going to do a 2-to-1 on my white, which should still let me get a nice pop of highlight in there. Meese and the heese, yep. I saw a squirrel burying, speaking of rodents, I saw a squirrel burying a nut out by my bird bath this morning. All right. We are now ready. Now with the tiny buckle that we've got here, let's push our colors out of the way and get in on our meese. There. So with those tiny buckles there, we are not going to be able to really use all of these colors. I usually would go straight to the highlight, so the lighter yellow, because there's just no room. Oh, his paw's in the way. And I'll try to get the two edges that are facing more or less downward. Yeah, diet and exercise lady for sure. Yeah, I had some gut stuff, and I've been tracking what I eat to try to figure out what it was that set me off. So I am also kind of working with a slightly new diet. And then pick apart. There we go. So kind of opposing. I've got a light edge on the top and a still light but not as white on the bottom. Oh no, Cornico. Oh, nice. Water fitness. Nice. Yeah, I have CrossFit this evening. It's funny. I spend the weekend kind of like almost dreading CrossFit, but then when I actually get to CrossFit Day, I'm excited for CrossFit. It's kind of weird. It's just like I go out on my walk every night. When I don't have CrossFit, I always walk. I go on my walk every night, and I'm like, maybe I won't run tonight. And then when I hit my street that I'm used to running on, I just start running. It's just like, it's non-negotiable. I just do it so that I can get my heart rate up a bit. And then I feel better afterwards. Sometimes you just gotta do it. But yeah, I hope you feel better, lady. It's killer. We were just talking about how nasty it is when you've got low energy and not getting good sleep and stuff like that. I have love my Fitbit because it has a sleep score thing, which all of them do now. Thinking of switching off of Fitbit though. Oh, look, I forgot a piece, guys. It's that little buckle thing and that little buckle thing. Hey, those can be bronze. Let's color them. It's a good thing that I mixed up some base coat, huh? It's beyond discipline now. I've done it often enough now, Slayer. There are certain blocks that I walk on and certain blocks that I run on. And right around when I hit the 5-minute mark of my warm-up walk is where one of those streets begins, and I just start running on that street. It is now a habit. I don't think about it. It just feels wrong if I don't do it, so I run. So if you do it often enough for a few weeks or whatever, however much it takes you to cement the hobby. But now that street is my trigger. Like, I take the same route every night, and certain streets are my trigger to run, and even if I don't feel like it, I just do it. Like, I don't even think about it. Especially if I put in some music or a podcast or a book, an audiobook in my ear. Then I just start. I don't even think about it. But yeah, just doing it to build that habit is the hard part. Oh, nice. Yay, 3D printer, yay. Yeah, maybe I can print some stuff this weekend. I would like to try to print Christine's stuff a little bigger. I'm really excited for that. But I also got 2 awesome things yesterday in the mail, which are totally distracting me. I got my Brandon Sanderson Kickstarter. So I got the figures based on the Stormlight Archive. And they need a little work, but not a lot of work. And I think they're going to be pretty rewarding to just like paint up a little bit. So what I'm going to do for those is I'm not, and this is like how David and I have done repaints, but I'm not priming over them. I'm actually using the base paint job as a springing off point and adding highlights, shadows, and textures. It's a way to do a repaint on if you get pre-paint figures and make them look better with less time investment. And it's still fun. Because you can usually make them look much better with just a little bit of work. Oh, yeah. Yep. New winter coat. Yep. Yeah, it's been cold. But I got a pair of gloves this year. I got them from Costco. So they were cheap. Cheaper, anyway. The kind that you can use with your smartphone. And there are, like, differing reviews of those things, but these work. Like, I can use my smartphone with my gloves on. It's so good. I used to hate having to fumble off my gloves to, like, switch to a different chapter or a different book or whatever when I was walking. Or to pause it and, like, rewind it when the train went by and I couldn't hear it for 5 or 10 seconds. So that's nice. So I've got definitely, you can see how the yellow comes out more on these bigger pieces. Whereas we've kind of lost our yellow a little bit here. So we can take our medium, like yellow oxide kind of color, and we can kind of put that a little bit of that back in. And then I need to shorten that highlight, I think. And just put a pinpoint highlight on the top. Yeah, I got mine from Costco last year, also at the end of last year. They've got kind of like it still seems okay. Like, it wouldn't be good for really, really cold, I think, Korniko. But then, I mean, at that point, heat would be more important to me than listening to my podcast efficiently. It's still better than having to take the glove off, though. But, yeah, I don't notice, like, especially since I'm already walking and working up a sweat and running, my hands are nice and toasty. But, yeah, it's a different kind of material on the fingertips. Like, it probably is, it's different. I don't know how it affects the thermal factor. Alright, that's a little better. Like that. Alright. Yay! Mies. And I'm going to put a bright white highlight on the upper part. And a little bit on that. There. Alright. Sword time. I need to thin this little. Some of my middle color here is not thinned at all, and it needs to be. But yeah, given having like the fingertips slightly less insulated and not having to take off the glove entirely to manipulate my phone, I'll take the slightly less insulated fingertips. But yeah, if it's really, really cold out, I would just say use your regular mittens or whatever you use that keep everything warmer. Just kind of gonna look at this. Okay, so it feels like there is a little notch, like there's just a little detail here on the sword. I'm gonna highlight it. There's just like a little notch right there on the blade. Oh no, Korniko, that sucks. Yeah, when you've got a favorite coat or favorite gloves and then you lose them somehow or they walk off and then you like can't find the exact ones to replace them. Yeah. It's like my favorite fleece coat that I got from Eddie Bauer that Kiki completely ruined when she was a pupper because Jump Up Bitey. And she like destroyed it. Like I had to glue that thing back together. It was in tatters. I still have it and I still wear it on walks. I just like put my shell on over it if I'm going anywhere where people are going to see me. Because I just love it so much and they don't make the same one anymore. Yep, the Kiki teeth. Dingo. Tiny Hellhound. Tiny Hellhound was paid to my my favorite coat. Oh no, you have a basket of single unmatched gloves. Consistent saturation, like you tend to highlight with more saturated colors, or like, because it's okay to do that, or do you mean consistency? I'm not sure what you mean with saturation there, Kanekari. Do you mean paint consistency, or do you actually mean like color, like saturation? Ah, sweater coat. Yep. You could learn to knit one. Just kidding. That would probably be quite the project. I think I've got a little speck of something here. It's like a little nub of plastic that just was holding out. Oh, yeah. Everything of the same color, the same level of darkness. Oh. You mean relative to where it is on the model? Because remember that as the light, as you go up and down the mini, you know, where you're going in and out of the shadow, that will vary. I need to repaint this part. Ah. Like, so, I don't know if I have a good example, sadly. So like a thing that's in shadow. Oh, so you're painting everything the same color and you're just not. Yeah, because you can do that, but then when you've got something sticking out like this leg, it should be lighter, more highlight than this that's pointed down. There's still a bit of light tracing down the leg here, but it's all over the top of this leg. What can help with that is zenith priming, Kendakari. Have you done zenith? It's where you paint or prime the model black and then you spray a white primer or airbrush spray a white primer from the above the model. That essentially will tell you where you should be putting your lights and shadows generally. It's not foolproof, but this mini, this was from Christine Moonlight Minis. This is one of her Wood Elf Barbarian, I think. I love her. She's my CrossFit model, my CrossFit inspiration model. Just working on her here and there. Still tuning. The skin tones need like 3 more levels of highlight and another level of shadow plus some glazing. Have you been watching my Fundamentals of Mini Painting series, Kendakari, on YouTube? It's free. It's free, and I'm almost done with the fundamentals now. Pretty soon it's Fundamentals in Practice, where we work on various subjects using the fundamentals. Yeah, they're blades. No, they're not blasters. They could be. No, I don't paint sci-fi. Let's just face it. Like, except for the very rare bust, sci-fi is not my, not where my soul lives. Even when I tried to write sci-fi stories, they read as fantasy stories. There are very, very few sci-fi models that I enjoy, and when I do enjoy them, they're almost always more like a sci-fantasy. Like, what do I like in like Warhammer? I like Sisters of Battle, who look like battle nuns. I like Space Wolves, who look like space Vikings. And I like Tyranids, that are just plain monsters. So even even when I do go for sci-fi, it's always fantasy flavored. Oh, okay, good. Here? The pommel, you mean? No. I just want the crossguard. I like how that looks the way it is. If I did want to do it, I would... the thing is, it's got so much of the spirit light on it that even if I did want to do it, I'd just have to put tiny touches of this color there. But yeah, it's pommel. That's the term you're looking for. So, because the whole thing is the hilt, but that doesn't necessarily need to be. The pommel is usually a separate piece. So it does not need to be the same metal as the hilt, or the crossguard rather, sorry. In fact, it's very common in knife making to do brass for a guard, but not do it if you include like a pommel or polished end in knife making. So we are used to having the same color, but I decided that I didn't want to repaint it. But I also didn't want to make this that same color because it just would have been monotonous. If this goes too saturated, I may regret my words, but yeah, the thing about this is that there's so much of the aqua light on it that, like, I would seriously maybe put some dark brown in here, but there's no room with all this aqua. There's no room for all this color. Yes, exactly. Battle Nuns, Wolfie Boys, and Nammers for the win. Yep. Yes, Star Wars follows the classic hero journey arc. But yeah, fantasy is where my soul's at. I've just come to terms with it. For a while there, I had some, like, maybe I could write a sci-fi story, yada yada. But then I realized that just like Star Wars, all my sci-fi stories were really just like fantasy putting on costumes. So I just, like, gave up. I'm not the kind to write a hard sci-fi story, so I'm just like, write fantasy. Fantasy's where I'm at. But it's not Kurosawa is just is doing classic hero's journey, and Star Wars follows all of the beats for the classic hero's journey, like many movies do. There's just some of them are far more evident than others. So does Avatar. Avatar screams the hero's story in your face, which is why I really kind of facepalmed over it. But the original, I mean. But yeah, I mean, they're all following that pattern. It's just how subtle are they in following that pattern. Yeah, and that story isn't something understand this, that story isn't something that was made up by somebody that then everybody started using. That story was quantified by Aristotle or Plato, one of them. It set out to analyze what made good stories work. I don't remember if it was Aristotle or Plato. And yeah, whoever came up with 3-act structure. But essentially, they just analyzed stories that worked until they noticed similar traits in those stories. And then they wrote down those story traits that they found already present in stories. And that was 3-act structure. That was the hero's journey. Or actually, 3-act structure came from hero's journey first. It's 3-act structure. You can break it down into 3 acts. Kind of just sprang out. But it's something that humans have done subconsciously since the dawn of time. And it was just quantified by that. So it's important to realize that, because a lot of people are like, oh, hero's journey, 3-act structure, it's just, we need something different, blah, blah, blah. No, this is a fundamental part of the human psyche you're dealing with. It's not just something somebody made up that everybody started using. Yeah, so Walking Harder, it's more than that. It's actually, the story works, people like it. That's why we even noticed it existed in the first place, is because it was already being used and nobody was using it consciously. So then when you become conscious of it, you can lean into it, and then your stories can become more effective. But there's still other things you need to do. That's only plot, right? It's not character. It does outline a character growth progression arc, but there's usually more you need to do. Aristotle, thank you, Trojan. Oh no, everything in Star Wars was not original. No, there are whole thesis articles on that, I think. People love to analyze those movies. And when the later movies aren't as good, if you look at their structure, you'll find the structure isn't as strong. In fact, in most stories that don't feel satisfying, movies, novels, whatever, if you really look at it, once you learn to look at the structure, you can see why. You can see why it's not working. But that's if you're me. I had to study screenwriting to actually get my brain around plot. So now I can't watch a movie without breaking it into beats in my head. Don't be me. Don't be me. But yeah, once you learn how it works, it gets in your head, and then you can see it. So I'm just working this up. I'm kind of like getting a feel for it. I'm probably going to glaze it down and make it even colder once I have it set up, because it's very warm. You can see how warm it is. I think too much yellow. I think I need to really, I'm going to change my whole approach here, guys. So we're going to change our approach. We're going to stop in the middle of everything and change our approach. This to here with this, and a tiny touch of this. Better. Notice how grayed out this looks, but that's going to give me more what I want. So I am going to go back, paint down, paint up. Now, Star Wars is pure adventure. The first one is. I mean, it still tells a story, and it still is a character growth arc. But it's a simple one, right? It's not trying to do... Star Wars was enjoyable because it's just not trying to do anything great and profound. It's just telling the story. But there are plenty of movies like that we love. Nope. The only thing that is new... That people say that nothing is new, but in reality, there is. Otherwise, our brains wouldn't light up when we looked at other people's work. So the thing that is new, the only thing that you can do as a creative that is new, is you can take the topic and show how it resonates with you as an individual. How do you see this? How would you execute on this story? Your human individuality is the only unique part of the equation, which is why we can read and watch these stories that use the same framework, and yet they are new to us, in varying ways, because the writer or writers have brought that piece of themselves into the framework and made it surprising to us, made it, it surprises us again, it amazes us again. They've refreshed it, right? So it's not, I wouldn't say that nothing is new, because every human being has like a different combination of experiences and talents and traits and brain work that makes us different from everyone else. Just a little. Like, in many ways we are all the same, but when it comes down to the quirks, we're different, right? And the quirks are what tend to come out when you're creative. And that's what makes your work different. Which is why Korniko should absolutely continue painting sparkly Tyranids, because that's a quirk that makes her work different. Do you like that, Korniko? See where I went there? See what I did? Giant sentient psychic whales, yes. For all we know, our own whales are giant and sentient and psychic. They just can't really talk to us. Alright, I had to go much more muted now on this one. But it's true, right? Like, because let's face it, I listen to a lot of audiobooks about creativity. Because I always like to listen to them for ideas, for inspiration, to keep me going, stuff like that. And what I have gotten from all of those many, many dozens of books at this point is that really the only thing different about this equation is you. And that's why, if you're creative, at some point, certainly emulate your favorites when you're learning, right? But at some point, you must put something of yourself in the work, or it will be formulaic. It'll not go as far in speaking to people as it could. Yeah, I fleet eye bleach for the win. Yes! I watched the Airbender anime, at least the first parts of it, and I enjoyed it. I haven't watched... I heard mixed reviews of the movies, so... Or if there's anything else out there, I have not watched it. I have so little time to do things like take in media that I And so much media that I would love to take in. That I just have to really limit myself. Yes. Yeah, I've heard it's terrible, Crowley. Don't worry. That's why I haven't watched it. I'd be far more likely to just watch the rest of the anime. Because I think I stopped, I don't remember. I maybe watched like 20 or 25 episodes in the anime, I think. I don't really remember. So I'm toning this down, guys, a lot. Because it was just too bright. But this is reading a lot better. It's a lot more, it's still reading as bronze, but it's much more toned down, and it's not clashing or looking more saturated than the rest of the model now. So this is what I want. Drunk and angry notes. Having seen you drunk, it must be terrible, Crowley, because you strike me as a happy drunk. So to make you that angry, it must be truly terrible. You're all good. Good deal. Yeah, sequels just... The thing about sequels is that you have to have even... Your character presumably grew in your first installment, right? Your character grew and discovered core things about themselves that they really needed to face up to or get past. You know, they had to deal with their crap. So that means that in order for the subsequent episodes to really work, they need to continue dealing with their crap, right? So they need to have even more crap to deal with. That's why a lot of sequels fail, because they cease to have a good character arc, like as good as the one in the first one. They cease to develop the character beyond that, and it just becomes like kind of a rote story with adventure in it, right? Or external problems, but no internal problem. There has to be some real challenge that the character is struggling with in order to make the story, like, relatable, enjoyable. Oh, it jumped decades, yeah. That can be hard. See, that's why I'm going back and writing an interim book in between West of the Moon and North of the Wind. Yeah, right. So it's not really a sequel. It's a new Avatar. So, well, because they had a good ending but not complete closure. Obviously they're like, we want to continue this when it's your cash cow, and especially in anime. I hate to say this, but anime likes to take an idea and flog it like until it is not only dead but undead, and then flogged into death again, and then they dig a big hole and bury it. But then they think they might dig it up someday, so maybe they make an alternate timeline. Okay? That. Sorry for anime fans. That doesn't fly with me so well. And comic books do the same thing, only more. Which is why I no longer read comics. Right, exactly, Kendikari. If they were gonna leave an opening, they should have left that opening instead of like burying the horse, digging it back up, and starting with a whole new horse when their old horse wouldn't run. Right, yeah, and that is right there. That's a problem with television. The nice thing about books is that you don't have that these days, because if you're at all open to indie publishing, even if you start a series with a traditional publisher and they cancel you, you can still finish the series indie, as long as you haven't signed away the right to do so, right? Or you have an option to get your rights back. And that really depends on where you publish and who you've published with and what your contract was. There we go. So we're getting that, and that's looking a lot better now. I need to shut it up. Yeah, X-Men, Inaro. But you know what? I keep thinking there's more comic books than that. Like, obviously, like, some of the classics, like, I love Sandman. And they don't have Neil doesn't do alternate timelines for Sandman, It was one big, huge arc that finished. So some comics are not like that, but the superhero ones do tend to be that way. Superhero ones do tend to be that way because the problem with superheroes is that they're essentially the deities of today. Giving them real human problems or challenges is hard unless you find a way to reset the character, because at some point the character is just like the best version of themselves. They become a lot less human. But yeah, I don't read comics. I've just decided it's not the media form I prefer. But yeah, I used to read them a lot in college usually. Now I read webcomics. There are 3 webcomics I read. Yeah, Marvel and DC. The big superhero ones, you know. They've got alternative timelines, different canon. It's cool. It's cool for some people. It's just not what I enjoy. There we go. So just a little bit more highlights, and we've got a nice bright white highlight lines around the whole thing. I'm very selectively doing it here, only on the edges that I think are facing upward. Oh, Wonder Woman. Oh, sorry, guys. But isn't the new... I thought the new Wonder Woman was supposed to be better. Like the new movie that they came out with. Isn't that supposed to be a decent one? I don't remember. I was intrigued when they did a new Wonder Woman. Yep, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Oh, I see. Mixed reviews for 84. Okay. Got it. Again, the problem with sequels, right? But yeah, and then there's that weird thing that some of those companies have where they have to produce content or they lose the rights to do it. And that just leads to bad content. Sorry. Yep, Sony and Spider-Man. Exactly. Although Spider-Man, with the Spider-Verse thing, like that seems to be pretty cool. I've just looked at a little bit of it. But it seems to be surprisingly cool. So sometimes, if you have a good enough team, you can manage it, right? You'd be like, okay, we're going to do this show. And we're going to explore different Spider-Verse universes. We're going to do this thing. And that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that they came up with the idea and that they made it work. But it took a lot of iteration and people in charge of it and writers, right, to figure out, like, what they needed to do to make that work. But that's good. Gonna thin this just a little bit more. Right. Yeah, and sometimes a good director and a good screenwriter can do that for, you know, a franchise. It's just, it's not easy. It's not easy to continue to write stories about one character and still give them a compelling arc and a compelling story. I'm studying that a lot lately because since I am writing fantasy and since my characters are evolving over time, I'm paying attention to some of that stuff. Especially because I'm thinking about writing progression fantasy, which would follow one character for at least, 5 books. The Bear King's books are a bit different because I get to start with different characters and I get to go back and revisit old characters who still have issues. So, let's face it, Ash and Sadis still have issues at the end of West of the Moon, and Sola. They all still have issues. They've made progress, but they still have issues.